Good morning and welcome to today's live forum about the 2013 State of Texas Assessment of Academic Readiness, or STAAR. We're glad you were able to join us for this live forum so that we can answer all your questions about STAAR and any changes that took place since your children took the exams last year. Buenos días y bienvenidos al foro en vivo acerca de la administración del State of Texas Assessment of Academic Readiness, o STAAR, del 2013. Before I introduce today's experts, I want to invite you to share your questions during the broadcast by calling 972-925-3123 or sending them to us from the online forum link on your screen. You can send those questions in English or Spanish. Antes de presentar a los expertos, quiero recordarles que pueden hacer sus preguntas durante la transmisión del programa llamando al 972-925-3123 o mandando un correo electrónico a través de la página de internet en su pantalla. Puede hacer sus preguntas en inglés o en español. Today's panel of experts about STAAR includes Pamela Brown, Director of Reading Language Arts, Tanya Brown, Director of Special Education, Diana Lozano, Director of STEM, Cecilia Oakley, Executive Director of Evaluation and Testing, Osvaldo Alvaranga from Curriculum and Instruction, Edgar from Multilanguage, and Barbara Thomas, Director of Social Studies. We're going to start the program with a brief overview of STAAR and the changes students are seeing in the administration of the test. After that, we will answer questions that have been previously submitted and any questions that come in during the program. Vamos a comenzar el programa con una presentación acerca del STAAR y algunos de los cambios que se han implementado. Después responderemos a las preguntas que se han hecho antes y las que ustedes hagan durante el programa. La presentación es en inglés con subtítulos en español.
The state of Texas changed the mandatory statewide test last year to make it more rigorous and be able to better measure whether students have the necessary command of the knowledge and skills they will need to be successful in subsequent grades. Results for the 2012 administration of the STAAR exams were delivered to parents of 9th grade students last fall, and the results for exams taken by students in 3rd through 8th grades were sent home by the Texas Education Agency earlier this spring. These confidential reports show parents how students performed on the tests. If you haven't done so already, we encourage you to carefully review your child's test results to identify whether he or she is doing well and where he or she needs help to improve. The STAAR assessments have 3 categories for performance. Level 1, which is on satisfactory academic performance. Level 2, which is satisfactory academic performance. And Level 3, which is advanced academic performance. Your child's performance level is indicated for each assessment he or she took. Satisfactory performance indicates that your child's results on the exam were at or above passing. It means that your child is sufficiently prepared for the next grade level and is likely to be successful in that grade. However, you might want to speak with your child's teacher to develop strategies for additional help so that your child can perform at a higher level. If your child's confidential student report shows that he or she performed at an advanced level, it means that the results of the test were well above passing, and that the student will be well prepared for the next grade and is highly likely to be successful in that grade. This level is what we refer to as the college-ready level. If your child did not reach at least a level of satisfactory performance, it means that he or she performed below the passing standards and will not be prepared for the next grade, and will likely not do well in that grade without additional and significant instructional support. Most in 3rd through 8th grades and those who are in the 9th and 10th grades for the first time will take the first set of STAAR exams in a few days. Students who started high school before the 2011-2012 school year will continue to take the TAKS until they graduate. In the coming weeks, students will take STAAR exams for reading, writing, math, science, and social studies, and students who are in the 9th and 10th grades will take the STAAR end-of-course exams that correspond to the subjects they have studied that year. As they progress through high school, students will take 12 end-of-course exams in the areas of English, math, science, and social studies. There will be 3 separate exams in each of these areas, and students will take the exam for the subject that they're learning in a particular year. For example, students who take biology will take the biology end-of-course exam that year, which will count as one of the science end-of-course exams. Students who take the world history class will take the end-of-course exam that tests that subject. The reason that there are more exams in high school is that STAAR is designed to measure how well students acquired the knowledge and skills that were taught that particular year in that subject. As you know, one of the biggest changes the STAAR brought about is that the exams are more rigorous than past standardized tests, which means that they are more difficult and their level of difficulty will increase each year. The reason that the exams are more difficult is that they will measure better how well prepared our students are to meet the challenges of college, starting even at the third grade level. We have some sample questions available on the STAAR page of our website so students and parents can have an idea of the knowledge and skills that are tested with STAAR. We encourage you to visit the site and browse through all the resources we have there. As they did last year, students will have a 4-hour time limit for each exam. Again, this is a kind of change that will help prepare students for college because most of the exams that will be taken, like the SAT or even advanced placement tests, have a time limit. You may be wondering, how will the STAAR exam figure into determining whether a student is promoted to the following grade? Last year, the results of the exams were not taken into account for grade promotion because they were not available in time. This year, the results of the test will be taken into consideration for promotion to the following grade. Of course, the results of the STAAR exams will not be the only factor used to determine grade promotion. We will also take into account the students' grades, the teacher's recommendation, and other criteria. This year, schools will once again be ranked by the Texas Education Agency based on the results of STAAR. The ranks will be different from those used with previous assessments, but they will help parents identify what schools are performing at advanced, satisfactory, and unsatisfactory levels. We realize that some of the requirements and details of the STAAR can be daunting for parents and students, but the Dallas ISD has been working diligently to prepare schools and students for these tests. The district has been providing additional tutoring for students who are struggling in certain subjects or who want to improve their performance. We also have tutorials in English and Spanish for some subjects on the District STAAR webpage. These sessions are a great resource, and we're looking forward to students taking advantage of the opportunity. For parents, we're offering additional information through the Prep University sessions scheduled for this week in several schools across the district. We encourage you to attend those sessions to learn more about the assessment and how you can help your children do well. We hope this brief overview has helped you understand the STAAR test a little better.
Welcome back to our studio. We have many questions that we have received already, so we're now going to move to that portion of our program. Please don't forget to call us with questions at 972-925-3123. We have people standing by to take your questions in English and Spanish, so our panel of experts can answer them. You can also send in questions via the link on the live page forum of our website, www.dallasisd.org/liveforum. Bienvenidos de nuevo a nuestro estudio. Ya tenemos preguntas que nos han enviado, así que ahora pasaremos a esa porción de nuestro programa. Por favor, no se olvide llamarnos al 972-925-3123 si tiene alguna pregunta. Tenemos personas disponibles para tomar su llamada en inglés o en español para que nuestro panel de expertos pueda responder. También los quiero alentar a que manden sus preguntas a través del enlace que se encuentra en nuestra página de internet www.dallasisd.org/liveforum. Well, one of the main questions that we have received is, what is the state doing about the 15% this year?
Well, the 15% is for the EOC exams for high school, and the 15% was to be part of your grade. And for the second year, the state has deferred it or postponed implementing that requirement. So for the second year in a row, we will not have any 15% requirement. And it looks like, as the legislation is in session, that there are many bills to get rid of it completely. So at this point, no 15%.
Y creo que esta es una pregunta que también vale la pena tenerla en español. La pregunta es, ¿qué va a hacer el Estado con el 15% que supuestamente contaría para la calificación de los estudiantes en preparatoria? Cecilia nos dice que se va eso a diferir otra vez este año y que parece ser que las discusiones que está teniendo la legislatura en estos momentos es que lo van a quitar en el futuro, pero tenemos que esperar a que tomen esa decisión oficialmente. This is a question from Rosemary that came in via email. If a student is passing his class but fails one STAAR test, does he still move on to the next grade level? Or if a student fails a class and a STAAR test, does he still pass the next level? I'm not really understanding how you pass to the next grade if you fail a test.
Well, if the failure is in grade 5 or grade 8, the state requires us to administer multiple tests, and that's why we're testing early next week for grade 5 and 8 in reading and math. And the requirement is that you must pass grade 5 or grade 8 reading and math to move on to the next test. There are the opportunities for acceleration or instruction during the time that maybe Barbara can respond to that, but the third administration, up to the third administration, they have to pass the test, and a committee will look at the information and make sure that all requirements are met.
I don't know, that's also probably important to have in Spanish. I don't know if somebody wants to explain that in Spanish. What happens if my child, ¿qué es lo que pasa si mi hijo está saliendo bien en la clase pero no pasa una de las pruebas? O si no pasa la clase y tampoco una de las pruebas, ¿va a poder pasar al siguiente grado?
Lo que Cecilia acaba de mencionar ahorita es que los niños, por ejemplo, que están en 5º grado y en 8º, tienen que pasar las asignaturas de lectura y matemáticas para poder ser promovidos al siguiente grado, en este caso 6º y 9º. Van a tener múltiples oportunidades estos alumnos para pasar estos exámenes. Hasta 3 veces van a poder tomar este examen para poder pasar. También se les van a dar ciertos apoyos a estos para acelerar académicamente a estos alumnos y ellos puedan satisfactoriamente pasar estos exámenes y poder ser promovidos al siguiente grado.
Así que sí, los tienen que pasar para poder pasar al siguiente grado.
5º y 8º, esos son los dos grados claves aquí, 5º y 8º. Así que los padres que tienen alumnos en 5º y 8º, enfóquense bastante con sus hijos en esto porque son determinantes en este momento.
Okay. So what happens if my kid, if not in those grades, if my kid fails the test? If you're in 3rd grade and you fail the test, what happens then? Barbara?
This year the state has made it mandatory that every student who fails a test at every grade level will be required to have a AIP, Accelerated Instructional Plan, that will follow that child to the next grade to make sure that the areas in which he or she were deficient in are addressed in the next grade level. So there is a plan in place for every student.
Edgar, no sé si quisieras explicarlos en español. ¿Qué pasa si mi hijo no aprueba el examen en otro grado que no sea el 5º y el 8º? ¿Qué es lo que pasa?
Por ejemplo, en este caso, lo que está explicando Bárbara también es que se les va a acelerar a los alumnos para que puedan ellos y estar realmente preparados para el próximo nivel escolar, para el próximo grado. Y muchas veces aunque ellos van a ser promovidos, como dicen, las escuelas tienen que mantener, que estos niños van a necesitar esa aceleración para estar en el siguiente grado. Acuérdense que STAAR va a estar evaluando si nuestros niños están realmente preparados para continuar al siguiente grado escolar. Por eso nos enfocamos en los estándares de preparación esencial, que son los Readiness standards, como lo llaman en inglés. Entonces, Bárbara ya explicó también eso en inglés.
Así que sí, vamos a darles ayuda adicional, o sea, pasan al siguiente grado, pero reciben ayuda adicional para que suban su nivel.
Exactamente. Queremos que todos nuestros niños sean exitosos y a través de este programa que Bárbara mencionó de aceleración, le damos a la oportunidad para que todos tengan la oportunidad de ser exitosos en el siguiente grado escolar.
How about summer school? There was a question from a parent wondering how will the test results affect whether a child has to go to summer school or not. I don't know if one of the content area folks would like to address that. Diana?
Yes, we are going to be having different levels of summer school. There is that accelerated instruction for those 5th and 8th grade students that did not pass the reading and mathematics STAAR test. There will be also getting some summer school for the students that did not pass the course. So there are going to be multiple opportunities whether you pass the course, whether you did not pass the STAAR, but we will be offering summer school. And it will be for several weeks.
Okay, great. Can my kid take the test again to improve the score? Pamela.
I'll take that question. Certainly for our high school students who are taking the end of course test, those students can take the test certainly to improve, and really the education code says for any reason. So students certainly can take the test. We encourage our students who have not attained the level 2 satisfactory performance to retake the exam for EOC. Again, as was mentioned earlier, with 5th and 8th grade, those students have multiple opportunities to take the assessment again.
And even if you've reached a satisfactory level, but you want to do better, because this colleges look at how well you did in high school a lot of times for admission. So if you want to move to the advanced level, is that something that they can do?
Absolutely. Students can retake the test to improve their score, and we certainly encourage our students to assess how well they're doing in school, and if they would like to take the test again, by all means, they are welcome to do so.
Money Carmen, can I add to that?
Oh, sure.
And this is specifically for the graduation requirements of the high school students. For certain distinguished plan, for example, they need to have the advanced level, and they can continue to take the exam to increase their score, as Pam just said.
Bueno, ya lo escucharon, padres, pueden tomar sus hijos si alcanzaron el nivel satisfactorio, pero quieren mejorar sus resultados, porque tienen mucho que ver como en lo que las universidades toman en consideración para la admisión. Pueden volver a tomar el examen para mejorar sus resultados. Pueden tomarlo varias veces, entonces es algo que pueden considerar cuando están viendo el progreso de sus hijos en los exámenes y en la educación en general. Can my kid take the test again after we know the results, or can they take them before we know the results? What is the schedule for the testing?
For grades 5 and 8, we will know the results, I believe, by April 22nd, and the next administration is in May. So we will have the results to know whether they need to accelerated instruction, and so they can get them ready for the next test in May. This is grades 5 and 8. For EOC, it's only during the times that we have the administration scheduled by TEA, and the next administration for EOC would be this summer, and the third administration is in December every year.
And just generally speaking, when are we going to get results for all the tests?
So the testing that's being done next week for grades 5 and 8 will be April 22nd. The writing for elementary will be May 22nd, and any of the EOC testing will be June 7th.
So really much sooner than we did last year.
Yes, and the parents will have results this year for all grades, and they will know if their student passed or what scale score they have on the test.
Así que los resultados del examen los tendremos antes de agosto a diferentes fechas, dependiendo de qué examen tomaron y cuándo van a estar listos esos exámenes, pero eso es información que vamos a poner en nuestra página de internet, www.dallasisd.org /STAAR. So todas esas fechas las van a poder encontrar en esa página de internet. If my child's school is unsatisfactory, can I transfer him or her? And when will I know? I guess we've already answered the dates of the results are available, but schools are going to get also graded this year. So if I don't want my kid to be in an unsatisfactory school, how do I? Can I transfer them? Is that still?
Yes, and there is an opportunity for that the parents will get notified, and there will be a time frame when they can do that. We won't know official results probably until late summer as far as accountability ratings of the school.
Okay. Why do we need a state test? I mean, I guess this is a very basic question, but why do we need a state test? Doesn't the district already test students throughout the year?
The state of Texas decided that our students needed a more rigorous test that would prepare them for college. Many of our post-secondary institutions were having to offer a lot of remedial courses because the students graduating across the state of Texas were not college ready. So the STAAR is a test that is designed to show entry into college, and it is a college readiness test. Yes, our district does test on many intervals, but this is mandated by the state of Texas. So it's a more rigorous test than what TAKS has been, and it will help prepare our students, those who choose to go to college, be at the college level and enter at a college level.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's good to have a test because, I mean, we don't know how other districts test their students, so it's good to have one test that
measures everyone
at the same, yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's, this is a question in Spanish, so any of you who speak Spanish, you want to take it. ¿Dónde puedo encontrar tutores para mi hija o libros para ayudarla yo en casa?
Pues el mejor recurso que tienen los padres ahorita es la escuela misma y las bibliotecas están disponibles para todos los padres venir y sacar bastantes libros para que sus niños tengan suficientes materiales para que ellos puedan estudiar o prepararse mucho mejor. Tutores también, las escuelas proveen estos recursos y ellos pueden pedir, por ejemplo, ir con los counselors en sus escuelas, con los consejeros de sus escuelas, el director, probablemente también el subdirector, ir a preguntarle toda esta información acerca de cuáles son los programas que ellos están ofreciendo para apoyar a estos estudiantes. También la biblioteca local. Pueden ir a las bibliotecas públicas y sacar libros. Únicamente muestran su ISD, la credencial del distrito escolar, y fácilmente les pueden proporcionar los libros que necesitan para sus hijos.
Así que no tiene uno que ser experto en las materias para poder ayudar a los niños, sino claro que hay muchos recursos. Y las escuelas también han estado proporcionando todo este tiempo. Muchas tienen, los mismos maestros son tutores antes y después de clases y en muchas los sábados también.
Exactamente. Casi la mayoría de las escuelas en este momento están proporcionando este apoyo los sábados. Antes, a las 7 de la mañana, nuestros maestros están ahí apoyando a todos nuestros estudiantes, y también después de escuela, muchas de nuestras escuelas, cuando vamos a visitarlos, los maestros están ahí con nuestros niños trabajando diariamente.
I think it's a good question to also have in English. A parent wrote in asking what they could do, what resources are available for them to help their children do better, or if there are any books that they could borrow from the school or use that will allow them to help their children at home. What are some of the things that we have been doing in the district already? Oswaldo, I don't know if you want to answer that one.
Sure. The main person to contact is the teacher, and so the teacher will have multiple opportunities for students. They'll have them before tutoring in the morning, tutoring in the afternoon. Also reach out to the counselors, and as Edgar said, also in the library, Dallas ISD students have a lot of resources available to them. There's also websites on, like you said, www.dallasisd.org/STAAR, and those are the multiple opportunities they get. I'm not sure if anyone else can think of other opportunities.
Well, and in some things like reading and writing, yes. I mean, practice makes perfect, true, right?
I certainly was ready to jump on that. If our students have that opportunity to read at home in the evening with their parents or guardians, or students just have access to books, and certainly through our school libraries, and Dallas Public Library is an excellent resource. We certainly want our students to be reading every night, every opportunity that they get. And that only is going to help them really on all of the assessments.
Yes. And that is one of the things that the district has really been asking parents to do. It's among the three things. It's like get your children to school on time, make sure they do their homework, and make sure that they read every day, because that does make a difference. Not just for the reading and writing portion, but for math as well. So. So great. It's good advice to give parents. Mi hijo está en 6º grado, pero no domina bien el inglés. ¿Puede tomar el examen en español? ¿Y hasta qué grado se puede tomar el examen en español?
Bueno, los exámenes en español están disponibles de 3º a 5º grado. Si están en inglés, de 3º a 5º grado van a estar disponibles también en español. Matemáticas en español, ciencias en español, lectura y escritura puede estar disponibles en español. Una vez que llegamos a 6º grado, los exámenes únicamente están disponibles en inglés. Pero esto no quiere decir que el niño... a estos alumnos que aún no dominan el inglés completamente, se les proporcionan ciertas adaptaciones, modificaciones para que ellos realmente puedan demostrar lo que saben. En este caso, por ejemplo, dependiendo de cada estudiante, se les puede dar, por ejemplo, un diccionario bilingüe. Y a estos niños también, si el maestro de record lo tiene ahí, el maestro de este alumno decide que este niño necesita tiempo extra el día del examen, ellos pueden recibir también tiempo extra. Como sabes, ahorita el examen es de 4 horas, pero estos niños pueden tener hasta el final del día para completar su examen. Entonces, dependiendo del alumno, de la situación de cada alumno, pueden recibir ciertas adaptaciones, ciertas modificaciones para su examen. Entonces, la mejor guía en este caso es el maestro. ¿Cuáles son esas adaptaciones que les vamos a proporcionar el día del examen? Desafortunadamente, en sexto grado el examen es únicamente en inglés. Todos los exámenes están disponibles únicamente en inglés.
Okay. I've heard that the state legislature is talking about getting rid of STAAR. Is that true?
From what I've been reading, I think they're trying to adjust the number of STAAR exams for high school and high school graduation. So far, STAAR is still there. It's not going away.
Okay, great. Well, because we hear rumblings, so as parents we want to know. Will STAAR count towards my child's grade? I know the 15% is not, but how does it figure, how my child performs in it? Does it figure at all in how they're graded?
No, the actual STAAR result is not part of the student's grade, their sixth grade or their final grade at all, period.
This is from Ramona Bailey. What is the academic recovery credit and how does this relate to STAAR? I mean, I guess we have reconnection centers. We have the if students didn't get enough credits for absences or whatever reason, they can go to one of our credit recovery centers and get credit for that class. Does that affect? I mean, because you take the exam, and especially in high school, you take the exam depending on the class that you took that year. Is there a correlation between these two, or you would take the exam anyway and then maybe do the credit recovery?
The credit recovery is still required for graduation, and for graduation you still need to have the specific EOC tests passed. In one way they're mutually exclusive because you've got to meet the requirements on both. So you've got to get the credits and you've got to meet the requirement on the EOC for those specific courses.
So it's not an either or, it has to be both.
That's correct. Is that correct? Yes.
Yes, correct.
How will students in special education receive modifications? And this was a very popular question last year.
Yes,
so.
It was. Some of our students with disabilities who receive special education services have modified instruction, and those students may be eligible to take one of the alternate exams, either the STAAR Modified or the STAAR Alternate. Any plan for the student will have been discussed in the student's ARD committee meeting, the admission review and dismissal meeting, or for students with disabilities who receive 504 services, the plan for modifications would have been discussed in that meeting, in that special meeting. It's a group of people who are able to make those decisions for students. So through the STAAR Modified or the STAAR Alternate, based on those meetings and based on the documentation, students are able to access the test through modifications. And I want to add, I don't know if we'll have a question later about accommodations, but accommodations are also available for students with disabilities. And this year they've been expanded, so they're available for students without disabilities in some instances. On our district website, under STAAR, under our STAAR resources, there is a parent area where there are test resources. And within that, parents can find the TEA's, Texas Education Agency's, STAAR Triangle or the Accommodations Triangle. And that has lots of information, very individualized information about accommodations and how students can access those. And it also talks about instruction and how instruction throughout the school year has to prepare students for the test, helping students access the curriculum through accommodations or modifications. So that is a great resource for parents. Again, that's the Accommodations Triangle, and it can also be accessed by going to the Texas Education Agency website.
And really, I mean, this is not something that that parents wouldn't know about already. I mean, this is something that's been discussed with them through the year, with their meetings with the teachers and all that. So parents should hopefully already know what the accommodations are, and if not, they can go look on the website.
Exactly.
If we can just give I'm going to try and give a brief synopsis of what you said in Spanish. But sí, los estudiantes que están en los programas de educación especial, va a haber ciertos cambios que se van a hacer para tomar el examen, para que puedan ellos acomodar sus discapacidades y lo puedan tomar con éxito. Y también hay ciertas modificaciones que se hacen dependiendo de la discapacidad que presenta el niño. Y esto es algo que se ha discutido durante el año. Ha habido juntas con los padres, está dentro del plan de educación del niño, y es algo que ya se tiene especificado mucho antes de que tomen el examen. Así que es algo que sí, no creo que sea una sorpresa para nadie. No. Pero si tienen preguntas, Tania nos acaba de decir que puso un recurso en nuestra página de STAAR, o examen STAAR en español, que viene del Texas Education Agency, que es un triángulo que tiene todas las modificaciones, es muy específico, tiene mucha información que se puede individualizar, que puede usted utilizar para ver qué es lo que va a hacerse para su hijo o su hija a la hora de tomar el examen. Did I get everything?
Yeah, I think so. And I just want to add that the accommodations, really there are criteria for the accommodations. So that's why I'm encouraging parents to visit and look at that accommodations triangle. They're very individualized per student. So you want to read those and know what the criteria is and whether or not your student is eligible for some of those accommodations. And they would already know that if they've been in the meetings and been participating.
Y los criterios en los que se basa los cambios que se hacen en el examen para los niños con discapacidades son muy específicos y muy individuales a cada niño. Entonces es bueno repasar todos los criterios que existen a través de este recurso que mencionó Tania, para que se den cuenta de qué es lo que el distrito utiliza para tomar las decisiones, que obviamente ya se discutieron con usted para abordar cómo se va a hacer el examen para sus hijos si tienen discapacidades. What will be the STAAR grading scale? Do we know, can this be explained within the 30 minutes we have left?
Probably not, because it goes from a raw score to a scale score, and then the scale score, there's a record out there determines what scale score meets what level. So level 1 is unsatisfactory, level 2 is satisfactory, and level 3 is advanced. And so each test, for the most part, has different. And so it's not like you can say 2100 like tax. It's different for each of the tests, and I don't have those memorized, so I'd have to go to my chart and look. But the student confidential report that the parents will get will have that information on there. It'll be explained, and you'll be able to know where you stand or where the child stands after the test is taken. Or you can go out to the TEA website and find that information out there if you want that detail of information.
And that's something that, I mean, last year, that's why it took so long to get results from last year's exams, right? Because they were looking at how kids across the state did to determine the passing levels and all that. Can you talk a little bit about that process?
The scaling from raw score to scale score is not only how well the students did in the state, but how well it aligns with college readiness tests. So they, instead of going up from 3rd grade up, they're going from college, like SAT standards, down. And so we did the EOCs first because they're aligned to the SAT, and then they're aligning those to the EOCs, so that we know that when you go into the next grade level, you are ready to tackle that grade and be on the track for college readiness.
And that's important, I think, because people sometimes well, I hope we've put enough information out there that that's not the case, but people tend to think about college readiness in high school. But really it starts at the 3rd grade, because if you're not at reading, for example, at that level in 3rd grade, then it's more difficult to get to the level in the 4th grade and 5th grade and so on. So I don't know if maybe reading is so important. Pamela, if you want to talk a little bit about that.
Certainly, as we start looking for college readiness with our students, we want to instill that love of reading from pre-K on, and really from birth. So when we look at college readiness, certainly we are taking a look at the scores in their high school years, but the preparation for that college readiness begins in our early childhood education.
And what are some of the things that we're doing? I know there's a lot of reading programs, but what are some of the things, because reading also affects math. I mean, especially because there are more word problems in the tests, as I understand. So your reading level will really have an impact on how well you do in the other areas like math and science and technology that we may not think, well, reading is important for that, but it is. So I don't know if Pamela and Naomi want to talk a little bit about that.
Well, I know that in the mathematics and the EOCs in math and in science, there is a lot of reading involved. Not only a lot of the problem solving and a lot of the reading, but like Barbara had stated earlier, it's a lot more rigorous because they're trying to align them to the college readiness standards. So yes, the reading pieces are very, very important in order for our students to be successful in all of the other end of course and STAAR assessments.
So I'd like to just elaborate on that. One of the things that we're trying to make sure is that in not only in just a reading language arts classroom, the student is having that opportunity to read and write and not just see it as in isolation, something they would do in their language arts class. And so we're making sure through the curriculum that there are multiple opportunities and that our teachers are providing those opportunities for students daily so that they see that really they're reading for life. Certainly we want to prepare them for college, but as we all know and as parents can attest, it is a skill that will be needed from the time they learn to read on.
I don't know, if Edgar, si nos quieres dar una breve sinopsis de todo eso. Sí, por favor.
Bueno, ellos están mencionando la importancia de la lectura para que nuestros niños sean exitosos. Básicamente ellos dicen que nuestros niños tienen que estar aprendiendo a leer, expuestos a la lectura realmente desde el nacimiento, para que estos niños, porque ellos tienen, la manera en que estamos realizando este examen es que ahora es como una escalerita, pero ahora empezamos de arriba para abajo. ¿Qué también están nuestros niños preparados para ir al college? Mucha gente piensa que cuando hablamos de están listos para el colegio, están listos para la universidad, nos enfocamos únicamente en la preparatoria, en la high school, lo que le llaman aquí, pero no. Este proceso necesita empezar desde pre-kinder y en este caso desde la casa en realidad, porque nuestros niños necesitan realmente, la lectura afecta las otras materias, afecta ciencias sociales, afecta a todos. Entonces, si eres un buen lector, tienes más oportunidades de ser exitoso en las demás materias realmente. Entonces, eso es lo que estamos aquí. Y nosotros estamos integrando nuestro currículum para que todo esté relacionado con lectura, escritura, para que tus niños estén expuestos a todas las oportunidades de desarrollar los idiomas y realmente ser buenos lectores.
Genial, muy bien. My daughter is taking high school algebra and middle school. Will she have to take 2 math tests?
No, an 8th grader or any middle school student that is taking a high school course, for example, like the 8th grade student taking the Algebra 1, will only have to take the Algebra 1 STAAR end of course exam. Well, she or he will not have to take the 8th grade exam. So no, they'll only take one exam, and that is the higher one, which is the Algebra 1 EOC.
And they will have to take that at the time when the EOCs are being taken, not the 8th grade math test.
That is correct. That is the first week of May. They'll be taking those EOCs.
Okay, great. How have our teachers adjusted to teaching at a college readiness level? Is that something, Barbara, for example, how are we?
As we undertake this new test and a new way of thinking, one of the things that we in curriculum have done is we are we've rigored up our curriculum planning guides, and we've created lessons or lesson exemplars to help support that in the classroom with the teachers. We've also had training for teachers to help them in their way of thinking and changing their mindset of what has happened in the past. The difference between this test, the STAAR, EOC, and TAKS, was that it was more of a skills, TAKS was more skill-based. This is more content-based for our social studies teachers. So it is truly a different mindset that has to take place for the teachers. So we're doing everything we can to prepare the teachers in order to prepare the students to be successful on the state exam.
Okay. And this is a question about math. What are some, based on the STAAR results across the state, what are some areas third grade students need to improve on in math?
In third grade, based on our data, there is a whole lot of pieces like the measurement pieces and probability and statistics that we are, like Barbara said, in our curriculum guides and our DOLs and lesson objectives, as well as our ACP exams. We are incorporating a lot of those low SEs, incorporating, having attention to that, because statewide, as well as Dallas ISD, the measurement, the number, and probability and statistics is giving our students a difficult time. So we have to make sure that we prepare the teachers to be able to teach it at the rigor of the student expectations.
And that's just, I mean, I guess a question for all content areas, and I don't know if Oswaldo wants to take that on, but this is, I guess we use data from our own results and the local tests, but we also look at the state test results to see how we can adjust how we're teaching or what we're teaching to make sure that the children do well in the next exam. Is that correct, that we're always modifying and improving?
Yes, from our point of view, we're always supporting the teacher. So the teacher aligns the curriculum, so the teacher looks at each individual student and looks where their low areas are, and then supports the student in that way. But the class is always changing, it's always morphing, and the teacher is the forefront of that information. And so no one class will ever be the same.
And to add to that, the commissioner this year has decided to release all of the STAAR and EOC tests in August, so that the parents will have an opportunity to look at the test to see the level of rigor and the level of thinking that our students are required to do across the state of Texas. So that will definitely be a great tool for parents as well as teachers.
I mean the actual
the
test.
actual test will be released.
Oh, that will be. But you know, by the way, we have some sample tests on the STAAR website for the district. So there's some. I mean, it's not the full test, but there are some questions, and there's different grade levels. So that's like a really interesting resource to look at, because it will give you an idea of what your children are going to be answering. And it's I've looked at some of those, and yeah, they're pretty rigorous.
Yes, they are.
So yeah. This question is from a parent. Are we sure that the STAAR test doesn't affect the student's grade? Cecilia?
The actual grade for this course, it does not affect that.
Okay, so parents can
Best
be at
assured.
ease that it doesn't affect it.
Right. The 6 weeks or the semester or the final grade that the student gets on the report card, it does not affect that grade.
Okay. And this question is from Ms. Jordan. Has the type of classroom instruction students receive been altered to improve college readiness? And we've kind of already covered that. It's great that you have a college ready test. However, what changes have been made in the ISD classrooms that actually prepare the students for college readiness? I guess there's still some confusion about that. I don't know if you can give parents maybe a concrete example in one of your content areas of something that has been modified to meet the college readiness level.
I'll certainly speak to that. One of the areas that I know has been a change for English language arts would be for the types of writing that we are instructing in the classroom. For many years, of course, with the TAKS assessment, the students have only been assessed on the narrative composition. And now for the EOC, our students are assessed for the modes of narrative, expository, literary, analytical, persuasive, and these might not have been areas of focus in the classroom, so we're certainly trying to provide support for our teachers, support for our parents in terms of looking at the different types of writing. So I can go ahead and assure you that that's one area in the classroom where our teachers are working towards making sure that students are not just proficient in one type of writing, but in multi types of writing. I also wanted to add that just recently the state released, I want to say March 19th, for 4th grade, they released a writing scoring guide. And that's on the TA website, and we'll make sure to get it on the Dallas ISD website as well. When you look at that scoring guide, you get many samples of, or several, let me say that, I'm sure we'd like a lot more. You get several samples for score points, and that's for 4th grade, for 7th grade, as well as the EOC 1. So that's also a resource for parents and students, but it's a resource for teachers to take a look at the type of writing and the level of writing that's being expected by the state of Texas.
So that's a good example that, you know, we are really making sure that our teachers are prepared and that they are preparing the students for the rigor that they're going to face when they take the exam. Edgar, no sé si quieres. No sé si quieres
vamos a resumir todo lo que dijeron. Realmente lo que dice, un ejemplo que ellos dieron de cómo el rigor ha aumentado en Dallas ISD es, por ejemplo, la manera en que nuestros niños ahora, por ejemplo, en 4º grado, antes tenían que escribir únicamente una narrativa, ahora tienen que escribir una narrativa, pero también un texto informativo. Entonces, ¿cómo estamos preparando a nuestros maestros para que ellos puedan preparar a nuestros alumnos? A través de entrenamientos, dándoles diferentes herramientas y constantemente preparándolos para que ellos realmente puedan transferir ese tipo de conocimientos a nuestros niños y realmente prepararlos. En 7º grado, ahora tienen que escribir 4 diferentes géneros para poder cumplir con los requisitos de 7º grado de escritura. Entonces, el rigor ha aumentado definitivamente. El vocabulario que se utiliza en estos exámenes es muy diferente. El análisis crítico que nuestros niños tienen que hacer para poder contestar estos exámenes ha aumentado definitivamente. Y como Bárbara mencionaba, para agosto vamos a tener esos exámenes disponibles para todos para poderlos ver. Entonces los padres van a tener esa opción de ver, probablemente si ellos quieren comparar el TAKS con el STAAR y vean realmente cómo ha aumentado el rigor y el vocabulario que nuestros niños tienen realmente que tener en orden para poder ser exitosos en este nuevo examen de que es STAAR.
Y los exámenes los tendremos en nuestra página de STAAR, obviamente.
Claro.
Y además tenemos ejemplos de preguntas. No es el examen completo, pero sí tenemos algunas preguntas en las diferentes materias que los niños van a tener que tomar el examen, que pueden verlos ustedes ahora mismo si quieren ir a la página y ver esos ejemplos. Y creo que se van a dar cuenta de realmente qué tan riguroso es este examen y lo que se pide de los estudiantes, pero estamos haciendo muchas cosas para preparar, para ayudar a los maestros a que ayuden a los niños a enfrentar los retos.
Quiero mencionar algo que nosotros estamos haciendo en el distrito, como mencionaban también nuestros compañeros aquí. Los exámenes que nosotros estamos realizando, los ACPs, muchos de nuestros exámenes están alineados con los estándares de preparación esencial, que son los Readiness Standards. Entonces el maestro también tiene esas herramientas que le va a decir que también estamos preparando a nuestros alumnos para este examen de STAAR. Por ejemplo, ya tuvimos en el primer semestre, nuestros niños fueron evaluados con ese examen de ACP, entonces ya estamos viendo cuáles niños necesitan qué tipo de apoyos dependiendo de cada uno de las habilidades que necesitan para completar o para ser exitosos en el examen de STAAR.
También la de Ready to STAAR.
Hay otro examen, también otro que tenemos ahí disponible, es el Ready to STAAR. Y estos exámenes, quiero hacerlo público para todos los padres, están en inglés y en español, en todas las materias. Entonces, nuestros niños bilingües, por ejemplo, ellos tienen la opción de tomarlo en inglés, en español, para ver también cómo están aprendiendo, qué también están aprendiendo el inglés y cuál es el idioma donde ellos van a poder demostrar realmente lo que saben en cuanto al contenido de cada una de las materias.
And I can translate in English on that. He was specifically talking about our locally developed tests that we have at the end of the semester, our ACPs, Assessment of Course Performance, and our Ready Ready to Start
Ready to
test,
Start.
which help us identify which areas are weaker for our students so that we can help them, tutor them or accelerate them so they can be ready for the STAAR starting tomorrow or next week or in end of April.
This question is from Mrs. Cabrera. Can you tell me where I can find the testing dates for the STAAR test?
And those are on our website. They're under the STAAR. I think it's www.dallasisd.org/STAAR. I think they're going to also have on the front page where you can tab it and it'll take you to that page, and there's a calendar of dates, as well as that TEA website. It'll be like something like this. You can't see that.
And it's available on our website.
And available on our website. But the first set of exams are next week for grades 5 and 8 reading and math, grades 4 and 7 writing, and then our English 1, 2, and 3 for the writing and the reading tests.
Now, and this is a question from Ms. Salinas, and I think it's an important question because this is a change that happened for STAAR, that there's a time limit for the test. So the test is only 4 hours. So how is this going to help the children that struggle on a daily basis? And what is the district going to do if a majority of the students fail this test? And when will parents know the results?
I'll certainly speak to the time factor. That has been a huge difference for our students when they were given, in a sense, unlimited time to take the assessment, and now they have 4 hours in which to do so. In terms of looking at it from a college and career readiness standpoint, we look at the SAT and ACT and certainly AP exams that are timed, and it is really kind of a shift for our students in which we need to prepare them to be able to look at certain aspects of the test for a particular time and kind of gauge their time. But it is an adjustment for our students, certainly. So I fully understand that it will take some time and has some instructional implications for us in the classroom.
And the reason that this is going on is because I remember any exam that I took that was standardized was timed, and so if we give them all day and then the kids have to take timed exams, then it could be very discombobulating for them. So great. Now, what will happen if the student does not finish the time test, and how will that affect their overall score?
It certainly will affect their overall score because they did not finish the examination. So those questions will not be counted for the student. I don't know if you could put it in evaluation terms for us, but
well, you don't ever have to have 100% to meet the standards, because there is some variability there. But if a good portion was left undone, it will probably lead to an unsatisfactory, but not necessarily.
And really, when it comes to the 5th and 8th grade, that's kind of more critical.
Correct.
But they'll be able to take it again if they.
And then if they're struggling with an item and it's taking them longer, that's probably what they need to get help with after that test anyway. And there will be some time once we get the results. There'll be time before the next one, and the schools, the teachers will try to focus in on those areas that probably was making them struggle, therefore taking more time. So we hope to help them with that.
Right. And there's a question from Ms. Siver. Will the STAAR form be available to view online at a later day? And if so, how can it be accessed? And well, let me answer that one. Yes, our form will be, the recorded form will be available on our STAAR webpage. And you can just click on it, it'll be there. The ones from last year were there till now, so they'll be updated with this one, and you can watch it at any time. And you know, the STAAR email STAAR@dallasisd.org will be available. So if you have any additional questions, you can send them into that email, and we'll get them answered for you. So that's another resource that will be available after the forum is done. Los estudiantes del 6º grado también tienen que presentar el examen STAAR. Sí, ¿no? Claro, todos.
No hay excepciones. Todos los alumnos toman el examen STAAR en este momento.
Okay.
Grades 3 through.
Sí.
Yeah.
Sí.
Yeah.
Los grados que son requeridos del 3 a 12avo.
Si una vez que llegan hasta el tercer grado, es exámenes todos los años, ¿no?
Exámenes todos los años, diferente cantidad.
Claro. What can parents do at home to set their students up for success on the STAAR test? This is a question from the Dallas Concilio.
Anybody wants to answer the question?
Tanya?
I think we talked earlier about reading, the importance of reading at home, the importance of writing at home, and I wanted to kind of further make that clarification. We know that students who write well do well in college. We know some of that data. So the reading helps writing, writing helps reading, and that's really important. To have a print-rich home, which means all kinds of reading also, and Pam, you may talk about this, comic books are a good help students because they're written at a pretty high grade level in some instances. Doesn't have to be a big thick book with small words. It's just something, and a parent reading to a student, the student reading to the parent. I think really those are the most important things that we can do readily at home with our students.
Is STAAR going to be for high school also? I guess we've covered that. Yes, it's for all grades.
Right, but this year we have one more year on the tax. So our 11th graders are still taking the exit tax. Our 10th graders took the tax last year, but they're transitioning into the EOC for the courses that they're taking that have the EOCs. So one more year of tax, and then next year it will all be STAAR.
Okay, great. Is there anything that that we haven't maybe covered in the questions that you think might be good to let parents know about? Any resources that we may have not covered already? Any? We're going to go over some tips in a little bit, but if there's anything relevant about the exam, any major changes that we may have not covered already?
Well, in social studies, this year our students will take a world history test. In the past, they took a world history test for tax, and that test was 70% skills, basically 30% content. This year is content. And so here again, reading will play a major role in their level of understanding, and they're looking at world history. And so we're talking about things that have happened in ancient world to the present. So they have a lot of content that they must know and be held accountable for.
I think I want to remind parents that next week when we're testing and writing, it's 2 days of writing. So if they took it a day 1, they will have a day 2 writing. That's very different from our tax. So if their child says they had writing, they're not finished. There will be a day 2 for writing.
Again, I did notice that on the testing calendar, there's 2 days for that. So great.
Can I add something for
Sure.
the parents to do? Also, we talked a lot about writing, which is important, but then from a technology point of view, there's also experiments that kids can do at home, and also number sense, so doubling, tripling numbers, and getting the kids comfortable with numbers, and trying things at home that will get the curiosity going. That also helps out in the other subject areas.
Great. Yeah, like a lot of the math in your head kind of things.
A lot
that
driving and just saying, hey, what would if I tripled this and then I took some away, what would happen? And having those good conversations with them.
Right. And it's practical things that they can, the everyday sort of themes.
Para nuestros niños bilingües y nuestros padres bilingües también, quiero nomás hacerles saber que de tercero a quinto los exámenes están disponibles en inglés y en español. Eso es algo también que ellos tienen que saber y este es un examen que va a ayudar, va a demostrar el contenido, qué tanto saben del contenido. Entonces, nada más eso quiero una aclaración. Están disponibles en inglés y en español de tercero a quinto.
Okay. Bueno, pues creo que eso es todo. But these were excellent questions, and I would like to thank the panel for their thoughtful answers. And now I would like to ask Tanya Brown to talk to you about some of the resources that we have available for parents and students, and share some tips that can help parents support their children's success in the new test. Ahora quiero pedirle a Tanya Brown que comparta con ustedes algunos consejos para que puedan apoyar a sus hijos y asegurarse que tengan éxito en el examen.
Dallas ISD has put together a web page that includes multiple STAAR resources for parents and students. The resources include videos, links to other websites, and calendar dates. The Teaching and Learning Department has compiled a list of tutorial videos for previously hard-to-master concepts. Students and parents can select a concept and watch a video that has been reviewed by the respective department. Also, the district has a webpage that includes frequently asked STAAR questions. Questions from this forum will also be added to the list. Students can also look at practice questions that have been released by TEA. Now, here are a few parent tips. Parents play a major role in ensuring that students are prepared for the test, and we wanted to give you some suggestions of things you can do at home so your child is successful. Add a few minutes of reading time to each day in the days or ideally weeks leading up to the test. Talk to your child's teacher to see if there are areas that need additional attention. Find out if the school is offering additional tutoring. Encourage your children by letting them know they will do well on the test. Make sure they have their uniform or clothes for the next day ready the night before the test, along with books and backpacks. Make sure your child gets to bed early the night before the test so he or she is well rested. Make sure that he or she eats a nutritious breakfast at home or at school on the day of the test. Get to school on time or a few minutes early to make sure your child is relaxed and ready to take the test. We know that children who are rested and well-fed will have the ability to concentrate, which will increase their confidence and raise their chances of a successful completion of the exams.
Thank you, Tanya. And there's some information that I wanted to share with you. The district will be hosting informational sessions for parents on the STAAR exam the week of April the 8th through the 12th. But you can look at what those dates are on our website. All the information will be there. Please visit the STAAR website for this and other information that Tanya pointed out that's available. And remember that we're going to continue to update the information that's on that page. So, look at it at least once a week, just to see if there's anything new that might be helpful to you. On behalf of everyone at the Dallas ISD and the panel of experts, I would like to thank everybody watching for their questions and participation. The forum again will be available on our website at www.dallasisd.org/STAAR. De parte de todos los que hemos trabajado en este foro en vivo, quiero darles las gracias por haber estado con nosotros y por sus excelentes preguntas. Quiero recordarles que este foro estará disponible en nuestra página de internet en el www.dallasisd.org/STAAR. Thank you again for your participation and have a great day. Espero que tengan un buen día y muchas gracias por su participación.